Last Tuesday morning, I walked into my own kitchen at 5:30 and found Dennis sitting at my table, going through a stack of papers with my name printed on the cover page. He looked up, smiled, and said, "Morning, Jerry. Hope you don't mind just organizing a few things. My name is Gerald Kowalski. I'm 74 years old. I worked the floor at Allegheny Steel for 34 years, paid off this house in 2001, and buried my wife Ellen 3 years ago. I don't ask for much. Black coffee at 5:30. My brown leather chair by the front window. The sports radio low in the background. That's the whole list. So let me tell you how I ended up needing permission to sit in my own living room. Dennis called me on a Wednesday in March. Said there was water damage in his basement. Repairs would take 6 weeks. Could he and his wife Lorraine stay with me for a while? Dennis is my cousin. Younger side of the family. His father, my Uncle Pete, passed 11 years ago. After that, I was the closest thing to a father figure Dennis had. I lent him $9,000 when he was 23 so he could finish his degree. Never asked for it back. You don't do that with family. I said yes without thinking twice. He's family. You don't measure that in square footage. They showed up with 4 suitcases, 2 storage bins, Lorraine's laptop bag, and a box of files she called work documents. Dennis works in insurance. Lorraine works at a real estate office. I didn't think anything of it at the time. First week was fine. Second week, things started shifting. Lorraine rearranged the kitchen for better flow. My coffee mugs ended up behind her protein powder. My Craftsman toolbox, the red one I've had since 1987, got moved to the back of the garage. Lorraine walked past it one afternoon and said, "That thing is just taking up space, Jerry." I let it go. What was I going to say? She's a guest. Then she replaced the dish towels. Mine were the blue checkered ones Ellen picked out. Lorraine swapped them for gray ones that matched her idea of how a kitchen should look. Small thing, but I noticed it. Dennis started having long phone calls in the hallway after dinner. Kept his voice low. I'd catch a word here and there. Nothing I could put my finger on. Just a feeling like when you're working next to a machine and you know by the sound it's about to go wrong before it actually does. You develop that instinct after 34 years on a factory floor. Then came the chair. Ellen picked out that brown leather chair the year before she got sick. We were at a furniture store on McKnight Road and she walked straight to it and sat down and said, "This one, Jerry. The light from our front window is going to be perfect here." She was right. After she passed, I kept it exactly where she put it. Every morning, I'd sit there with my coffee before the neighborhood woke up. That chair was the first place I'd go when something was bothering me. Didn't need to talk about it. Just sit there in the quiet, and the thing would sort itself out. One afternoon, I came back from Philip's place next door, and the chair was gone. In its place was some angular gray thing that looked like it belonged in a dentist's office. I stood there looking at the empty spot by the window for a few seconds. Dennis came out of the kitchen. "Oh, we moved it to the garage. Opens up the room a lot, right? Better layout." I didn't say anything. What was I going to say? That evening, Dennis had some friends over. 3 guys I'd never met. I walked in from the hallway and Dennis said, "Hey, this is my cousin Gerald. He's staying with us for a while." I stopped. "You're staying with me," I said. Dennis laughed. His friends smiled politely. Nobody corrected anything. I went to the garage and sat in my own chair between a lawnmower and a stack of paint cans and thought about what had just happened. He said I was staying with them. In my house, the house I paid for. Old doesn't mean slow. It means I've seen enough to recognize a pattern when it's starting. I went to bed that night and lay there going over the last 2 weeks. The toolbox, the dish towels, the chair. The way Lorraine moved through my kitchen like she was already the one in charge of it. The way Dennis talked about the house to his friends, none of it was illegal. None of it was even something I could sit down and argue about without sounding like I was overreacting. That's exactly how it works. Small things one at a time until one day the picture has changed completely and you can't point to a single moment when it happened. The next morning I got up at 5:15 instead of 5:30. I wanted to be in the kitchen before anyone else. I made my coffee and stood at the window and decided I was going to start paying close attention to everything. Week 3, Lorraine mentioned she could help me set up online banking. Said it would be easier to manage everything from my phone. I told her I'd been managing my accounts just fine for 40 years without a smartphone. She smiled and dropped it, but then she asked for my email address. Said she wanted to send me a helpful link. I gave her an old one I barely check anymore. Didn't think much of it in the moment. Later I thought about it more. 2 days after that, my bank called. A representative asked me to confirm a request to add a joint account holder to my savings account. I told her I hadn't made any such request. She flagged it immediately and said they'd noted on the account. I thanked her and hung up. I sat at the kitchen table for a few minutes after that call. Dennis was upstairs. Lorraine was on her laptop in the living room. I didn't say a word to either of them. That same week, I noticed my small notebook was out of place. I keep a spiral notebook in the top drawer of my desk, the writing desk in the bedroom that Lorraine once called outdated. I've used that notebook to track household expenses since 1998. Every oil change, every repair, every bill. Dennis picked it up one evening while I was in the room and flipped through a few pages. He set it back down and said, "Jerry, you know this kind of thing can look like confusion to other people, right? All these notes going back years." I didn't respond, but I wrote down what he said, and I wrote down the date. A few evenings later, I was taking out the recycling. I passed the small wastepaper basket Lorraine kept near the kitchen desk. There was a crumpled sheet on top. I smoothed it out under the light. It was a partial printout. The words at the top were durable power of attorney. My name was listed as the principal, no date. No signatures yet. Just a draft. Just preparation. I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was scared, because I was thinking through every conversation from the past 3 weeks and fitting pieces together. The online banking offer, the bank call, the comment about my notebook looking like confusion, the draft document in the trash. None of it was accidental. This had a direction. The letter arrived on a Thursday by regular mail, a financial advisory firm I had never contacted, thanking me for our recent inquiry regarding asset review and property transition planning. My name on the envelope. My address, my supposed inquiry. I read it twice at the kitchen table, then I put it in the desk drawer with the power of attorney draft. That afternoon I called Sylvia Dunn. Sylvia is an estate and property attorney. I met her through Ellen. They volunteered together at the library for about 6 years. After Ellen passed, Sylvia called to check in a couple of times. I hadn't needed her professionally since Ellen's estate was settled. I needed her now. I walked her through everything on the phone, the bank call, the letter from the firm I never contacted, the power of attorney draft I found in the trash, the comment Dennis made about my notebook. Sylvia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she asked one question. "Do you still hold full title to the property?" I said yes. She said, "Come in tomorrow morning. Bring your deed and whatever documents you have." I went to her office the next day at 9, left before Dennis or Lorraine came downstairs. Didn't leave a note. Didn't feel like I needed to explain myself in my own house. Sylvia reviewed everything methodically. We updated my will with a clause that prevented any property transfer made under informal caregiving claims or outside pressure. We established a trust structure that required an independent third party for any major asset decision. We updated my medical directive with explicit language. No cognitive evaluations without my written consent unless ordered by a court. Then she said something I've thought about every day since. The goal is to make sure every move they make leaves a paper trail that goes nowhere useful for them. After her office, I went straight to the bank in person. I placed a security flag on every account. No changes, no applications, no joint account requests without me physically present. The representative pulled up recent activity. The phone number used to initiate the joint account request was not my number. Different area code entirely. When I got home, Lorraine was in the kitchen. "You were out early," she said, checking her watch. "Yes," I said. "You could have mentioned it. I didn't realize I needed to check in," I said. She pressed her lips together and went back to her laptop. That evening, I walked over to Philip's house. Philip Ostrowski has been my neighbor for 28 years, retired electrician. He's the kind of man who listens more than he talks, which is exactly what I needed. I sat at his kitchen table and told him everything from the beginning. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he looked at me for a moment and said, "You want me to start keeping a log?" I said yes. From that point on, Philip wrote down dates, times, anything unusual he observed from next door. Vehicles, visitors, lights on late. 3 days later, a piece of mail arrived that I hadn't been expecting. Official county stationery. A newly registered LLC. Business address listed, my house. Owner of record, Dennis Kowalski. He had registered a business at my address. No conversation, no mention of it. My address on a legal filing I had no knowledge of. I photographed the letter and added it to the folder in my desk drawer. Then I started thinking about the trap. I want to be clear about something before I explain what I did next. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investigator. I am a retired steelworker from Pittsburgh who spent 34 years reading machines by sound and knowing when something was about to go wrong before it did. That instinct does not retire when you do. The trap was simple and it was legal. Everything I did was inside my own home, with my own information, on my own property. One evening at dinner, I mentioned casually that I had a separate savings account I had set up years ago and mostly forgotten about. I let the number $40,000 drop into the conversation like it was nothing. Said I couldn't remember which branch held it and I'd have to look it up sometime. Then I changed the subject. I watched Dennis across the table. He didn't react visibly. Lorraine kept eating. but I noticed Dennis glance at her for just a half second. That was enough. 2 days later, the bank called me. A representative said someone had contacted them asking about a savings account under my name matching that general description. The inquiry had come from a number they did not recognize as mine. I thanked her, asked her to document it, and hung up. Dennis had contacted my bank about a $40,000 account that did not exist. He had done it within 48 hours of hearing me mention it at my own dinner table. He had done it using a number that was not mine, that was documented, that was evidence he generated himself, voluntarily trying to locate money I had invented. I called Sylvia that evening and told her. She was quiet for a moment and then said, "That's what we needed." The next step was the confrontation. I didn't want drama. I didn't want a shouting match. What I wanted was for everything to be on the table in plain language with no room for anyone to walk it back later. I waited until a Saturday afternoon when both Dennis and Lorraine were home. I came downstairs with a folder and set it on the kitchen table and asked them both to sit down. Dennis leaned back in his chair. "What's this about, Jerry?" I opened the folder and went through it item by item. The bank call about the joint account request with the unfamiliar phone number. The power of attorney draft I had found in the trash. The letter from the financial advisory firm I never contacted. The LLC registered at my address without my knowledge. And the most recent bank documentation showing an inquiry about the $40,000 account I had described at dinner. I didn't raise my voice. I laid it out like I was reading off a work order. Lorraine's expression didn't change much. Dennis shifted in his seat. He tried a different angle first. "Jerry, we were doing this for you. You're 74, you're living alone, and you don't have anyone looking out for the long term. We were trying to get ahead of things before something happened. Before something happened to what?" I asked. "To you, to the house, to everything you worked for." "I worked for it," I said. "That's correct, which is why my name is on the deed and not yours." Lorraine spoke up. "You're taking this out of context. We were exploring options." "That's all, exploring options using my name, my address, and my bank," I said. Without asking me, Dennis leaned forward. He dropped his voice the way people do when they're about to say something they want to sound like reason. "Jerry, come on. We're family. I'm the only family you have left. You lent me money when I needed it, and I never forgot that. I'm trying to return that. I'm trying to make sure you're protected." That one landed harder than I expected, not because it changed anything, because it was the closest he had come to being honest since they arrived. He wasn't entirely wrong about one part of it. He is the last family I have. And that was exactly why this hurt more than it would have coming from a stranger. "You could have asked me," I said. "Any of it. The finances, the planning, the concerns about the future. You could have sat down at this table and asked me directly. I would have listened." He didn't say anything to that. I slid a document across the table. "This is an occupancy agreement. It outlines the duration of your stay, shared expenses, privacy boundaries, and the conditions under which you're living in this house. No financial actions under my name without my written consent. No medical decisions without my written consent. No alterations to this property." Lorraine picked it up and read the first page. Her jaw tightened. "This makes us tenants," she said. "It makes you guests with clear terms," I said. Dennis tried one more time. "You're turning this into something adversarial. We came here because we needed help, and we thought you'd want us here." "I did want you here," I said. "That part was real. What happened after you arrived is what I'm addressing now. If we sign this, it means you don't trust us. It means I'm protecting myself," I said. "The same way you were supposedly protecting me, except I'm asking first." Silence. I left the folder on the table and told them they had 48 hours to sign or begin making other arrangements. Then I got up, poured myself a coffee, and went and sat in the living room. Not in the gray chair they had put there. I dragged my brown leather chair in from the garage myself, set it back by the window, and sat down in it. Nobody said a word about it. The next morning, neither of them mentioned the agreement. Lorraine made her green smoothie. Dennis read news on his phone. We moved around each other like nothing had happened, which I knew meant they were regrouping. That afternoon, Nadine called. She's a cousin on my mother's side, lives over in Bethel Park, works as a bookkeeper. Good woman, straight shooter. She said Lorraine had reached out to her. Said she was concerned about Gerald and that I had been acting confused and pushing family away. There it was. If they couldn't move me directly, they'd start working on how other people saw me. I called Nadine back and walked her through everything from the beginning. The bank calls the LLC at my address. The power of attorney draft in the trash. The $40,000 that never existed, and the call Dennis made to the bank about it 2 days after I mentioned it at dinner. Nadine was quiet through all of it. When I finished, she said, "Good God, Jerry." I said, "Yeah." She asked if there was anything she could do. I told her just knowing the real story was enough. On day 2 of the 48 hours, Dennis knocked on my bedroom door in the evening. I told him to come in. He sat on the edge of the chair near the window and looked tired. More tired than I'd seen him look since they arrived. I didn't think it would go like this, he said. How did you think it would go? I asked. He was quiet for a moment. I thought we'd ease into things, help you get organized. Maybe eventually you'd want something smaller and we could work something out with the house. It would have helped us both. You decided the ending without telling me the plan, I said. He looked at his hands. The rent went up on our place. Lorraine's been under a lot of pressure. I just thought there had to be a way to make things work for everyone. You could have asked me, I said. I would have helped you if you'd asked. He didn't say anything to that. We sat there for a minute in the quiet. I looked at him and I saw the 23-year-old I had written a $9,000 check for because his father was gone and he needed someone to believe he could finish what he started. That was real. What happened in this house over the past weeks was also real. Both things were true at the same time and neither one canceled the other out. Sign the agreement, I said. Stay the rest of the 6 weeks, pay your share of the utilities, and leave when the repairs are done. That's all I'm asking. He nodded slowly and walked out. The next morning, both he and Lorraine signed every page, every clause. Lorraine didn't look at me when she slid it back across the table. I didn't need her to. It held for 8 days. On day 9, Sylvia called. Another financial advisory firm had been contacted with hypothetical questions about elder homeowner property transition structures. Not in my name this time, but the property description matched mine closely enough that the firm had flagged it and Sylvia had been notified through a contact she kept in that industry. I called Dennis and Lorraine into the living room that evening. I put the termination notice on the coffee table. 30 days, already filed with Sylvia's office. Dennis looked at the paper. You'd actually throw us out. I'm not throwing anyone out, I said. I'm enforcing a boundary that you crossed again 1 week after agreeing in writing not to. Lorraine's voice went cold. You'll regret this. You're going to be alone in this house and one day you're going to wish you hadn't done this. Maybe, I said, but that'll be my choice to live with. Same as everything else in this house. She looked at me for a long moment, then she walked upstairs. They were gone by day 24, not 30, 24. Boxes appeared in the hallway 3 days after I filed the notice. No conversation about it, no final negotiation. Dennis carried things out to the car without making eye contact. Lorraine directed the process like she was wrapping up a job site. The chrome appliances disappeared. The gray recliner was disassembled and taken out in pieces. On the last morning I was up at 5:15. The house was nearly empty again, and it already felt different. Like the air had loosened up, like the walls had stopped holding their breath. I walked to the garage. My brown leather chair was leaning against the far wall, wrapped in a moving blanket. Not donated, not thrown away, hidden away, waiting. Either they had planned to circle back for it or Dennis had a last-minute hesitation. I don't know which, and it doesn't matter. I pulled it back inside, slow and steady, scratched one leg a little, getting it through the side door. Set it exactly where Ellen had put it the day we brought it home, facing the front window where the morning light comes through at a low angle and spreads across the floor. I sat down. Dennis knocked before they pulled out of the driveway. I opened the door. He looked like a man who had something to say and couldn't find the words for it. It wasn't supposed to go this way, he said, but it did. I said. He nodded once and walked to the car. They drove away without looking back. I went to the kitchen and poured a cup of coffee. Black, 5:30 on the dot. Took it back to the chair by the window and sat down. No schedule taped to the refrigerator. No footsteps upstairs. No whispered phone calls in the hallway at midnight. Just the chair, the window, the light coming in, and the quiet that belongs to a man in his own home. I'm 74 years old. I worked 34 years with my hands to own this place outright. I paid every bill, fixed every broken thing, and buried the woman I built this life with inside these walls. Nobody gets to walk in and reorganize that. Not without asking, not without a fight. If someone in your life is treating what you built like it's already theirs to manage, pay attention early. Document everything. Get a lawyer before you think you need one. And don't let anyone convince you that standing up for yourself in your own home is the same thing as being difficult. You earned the right to sit in your own chair without asking permission. Don't give that up quietly. If this story hit close to home, leave a comment below. And if you know someone who needs to hear it, share it with them. They'll know why,